Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Mel. I grew up playing outside.
And I grew up doing something meaningful, watching movies and TV.
I never had cable, and we finally bought a VCR about the same time DVD players hit the market.
Throughout our marriage, Mel has sadly missed many of my pop culture references and movie quotes.
So it's time to catch up on all the films I missed.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. And how are you on this green, beautiful evening?
I am good. Ready to watch a movie.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm ready. What are we watching?
Movies can change you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's true. I was never the same after Dancer in the Dark.
Yeah, you watch a movie and then you just come back and you're not the same.
Okay. What are you hinting at?
And sometimes you go home and things just aren't the same after you've seen that movie.
The Wizard of Oz? I don't know. What were you hinting?
Sorry. You obviously you have no idea what we're watching tonight.
I don't know. No.
Okay.
I was hoping for Jaws, but you're not describing Jaws at all.
No. I always have reasons why I show you films at different times. So tonight's film is Rambo First Blood.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding.
Oh my gosh. Rambo?
Yeah, what do you recognize that name? Do you know this film? Have you seen it?
There's like one of those guys in it who's like a strong guy. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or who's the guy who's in the boxing movie?
One of those guys who's like a strong guy.
No, like they're known for their muscles.
Do they have handlebar mustaches and they wear like leopard, like, you know, the strong guy at the carnival?
Strong arm man.
Yeah. Wow.
Who's the guy?
Who's the guy matter. In the what movies?
In the Rocky movies?
The Rocky movies?
Boxing
boxing movies? Okay.
Who's that? Is he in this movie? There's someone in this movie who's like
giving you no
Sylvester
hints.
Stallone?
No hints for me. Like
I think Rambo's like a guy in the jungle, like fighting.
He's a guy in the jungle
stuff.
Fighting stuff.
Yeah, but not like fighting an alien.
Yeah, I was gonna say aliens.
I know that
you
could
say
be
stuff
describing
is like
Predator.
there could be like, I don't know, environmental impact of plastics. Is he fighting that?
Rambo. That's all. I don't know anymore.
There's
guns. There's like fighting with guns.
There's fighting with guns.
Like there's
okay.
weapons.
Weapons.
And maybe isn't there like
Keep going, please.
Like a handkerchief that's like wrapped up and then like tied around a forehead.
A handkerchief wrapped up and tied around the forehead. Okay.
You know, to like keep the sweat out of your eyes.
Oh, sure. And you want to go into more detail about the handkerchief or the colors involved?
That's all I've got.
Is that it?
So are we this is an action movie. That's what we're watching?
We're watching a movie, a film called Rambo, First Blood.
Sounds like an origin story. I can't wait.
You do like origin stories.
Yeah.
So you think this is a strong guy film?
Yep.
Starring either Arnold Schwarzenegger or boxer guy?
I don't know.
Sylvester Stallone?
I can't think of any other strong men, like the muscly men. I can't. Right. Nothing's coming to mind, but it's one of those guys.
Okay. Any, if you're picturing, you've never seen a poster for this, obviously.
I mean, I think that's where my like whole keep the sweat out of your eyes thing comes from,
band.
And a weapon slung across a sweaty shoulder.
Okay. All right.
It.
You want to do a tagline for this one? I kind of want to hear what your tagline for this movie would be.
Let's see, for First Blood.
Yeah.
The unhatching of Rambo.
The unhatching? What's he, a chicken?
He's like, I don't know.
He's going back into his shell?
I have no idea. I'm just trying to think of something that's like the beginning of his story.
The beginning of his story. Okay, well, let's go unhatch this movie. All right? You ready?
Yeah, I can't hardly talk. I'm laughing so hard.
Let's
go watch it.
Let's go.
John Rambo, a drifter, just passing through their town.
Morning! Headed north or south?
North.
Now jump in. I'll make sure you head in the right direction, huh?
You got someplace I can eat around here?
There's a diner about 30 miles up the highway.
Is there any law against me getting something here?
Yeah, me. I want you to book this gentleman for vagrancy, resisting arrest, carrying a concealed weapon.
They knew he was innocent.
Starting to dislike you. A lot.
And they didn't give a damn.
That's okay, Warren. Don't worry about the soap. He's tough. Just shave him. Try.
Don't move. I don't want you to cut your own throat.
John Rambo. One man who's been pushed too far.
You're finished! You've gone as far as you're gonna go! Heading straight for the top. We're right on top of him. There's no way out of here except through us.
He was hunted. Trapped.
There he is! On the cliff!
And forced to fight back.
Don't push it. Don't push it. I'll give you a war you won't believe.
Teasel, you and all your men couldn't handle him before. Now, what makes you think you can handle him now?
Because God knows what damage he's prepared to do.
You don't seem to want to accept the fact that you're dealing with an expert in guerrilla warfare.
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
You send that many, don't forget one thing. A good supply of body bags.
Sylvester Stallone. This time, he's fighting for his life. First blood.
So it was a long road that you were on your own for, oh wow, this was released in 1982 and you finally saw it in 2023.
I had no idea that's what Rambo was about. I had no idea.
Right?
Wow. I'm starting to think that I have a lot of preconceived notions about movies that are totally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This was in a way, in a lot of ways, it was like deeper than I was expecting.
100%.
And Sylvester Stallone was like acting, and he didn't have his voice, his like Sylvester Stallone voice. That wasn't there either. Mm-hmm. It was completely nothing like what I was expecting. I mean, there was a lot of action. I was expecting that, but like the plot and everything was really threw me for a loop.
I'm really embarrassed actually because I called this Rambo First Blood, and that's what everybody calls it, but technically the name of the film is just First Blood.
Okay.
So just had to set the record straight.
Do you feel better?
I'm sufficiently embarrassed and I do feel better. Thank you for letting me do that. Yeah, this movie is one of those where you exactly hit upon what probably a lot of people think when they think of Rambo. They just think of machine guns and things exploding and probably him shirtless shooting a machine gun or something like that.
Yeah, without like a plot behind it or like a reason or anything other than just having fun blowing stuff up. It always seemed like a guy movie to me.
Yeah.
You know, like and
totally.
It is still, but there was a lot more going on that I didn't realize.
Well, do you want to give us a quick summary of the movie?
I'll try.
Okay.
So a guy walks into a town and
a drifter.
It's Rambo, Sylvester. I almost call him Steven Stallone.
It's John Rambo's the character's name. But yeah.
He walks into town and he you find out as the movie progresses that he was a Green Beret.
Green Beret.
And what war was he in? Vietnam.
He's a Vietnam vet. Mm-hmm.
And the cop or the sheriff in town immediately dislikes him and just wants him to go because he has kind of this like, I don't know, back then he must have had a bad guy aura around him, like a drifter, because he is walking. And he had long hair.
He was definitely walking. His hair, you know the funny thing now?
Kind of
whenever I see what constitutes long hair, air quotes, back then, and it gets worse the further back you go, like in the 50s, long hair was like having not a buzz cut. You know what I mean? Like, so it's always interesting to see. His hair wasn't even that long, but they were like, you got this long hair.
Well, he looked like a long-haired hippie. Like,
oh, he had a bit of a fro going on, but it wasn't like his hair was like down to his mid back or anything like that.
I would not call the fro. I think he had good hair.
Oh,
that was good hair.
I just meant like it was poofy, like it was froing out. It was
disheveled.
Yeah, disheveled. Sure.
I think we're getting off track here.
We are. Sorry.
Okay, so he
hair does that.
The sheriff he asks him to leave town, and he gives him a ride out of town, but John Rambo just is like, okay, whatever, not really saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
He gets out of the car and starts walking back into town. And so the sheriff arrests him and just like inflames all these charges against him. And when he goes into the police station, that's when you start to see, you didn't know anything about his story. I'm kind of getting too deep into the summary, but anyway, he starts having these flashbacks.
It's a shocking movie, yeah.
Yeah, and you start to see a little bit of like what his career in Vietnam looked like, and he just flips out and he escapes, and then that is the movie. He escapes and they pursue, and so he's in Oregon. He's in the mountains and the gorge and like trying to just like survive. Well, running from the cops, and he's like,
they keep pushing
he has
him.
All the skills, they're totally pushing him, and so it's just like the standoff between him and the rest of the armed forces that they can muster in this small town. And he's just so good at what he does that like lots of cops die, and it ends up with the standoff in the town. In John's defense, though, if I can call him that, I'm sure he used to be calling him Rambo. He kills way less cops than he could. And also, he shows a lot of restraint. They drew first blood. Oh, totally. Yes. So that's actually a line in it too. I think he says, "You drew first blood." Yep. Yeah. So that's about the summary of the movie. But it was really cool how you didn't know anything about it. You're just dropped in, very much like that movie I like to watch during Christmas time, The Thing. The Thing. Oh, okay. You're just like, I was like, Die Hard, dropped in a good way, and you're watching it unfold. And the first little flash when he's like in the police office and they're trying to get him to thumbprint, and he's not cooperating, but he's not saying a word. He's just so quiet. He barely speaks in the movie. Yeah, and you get this first flashback and it's totally like, what did I just see? Because it's so fast. And then a couple more happen while he's in the police station. And so it's crazy. It's crazy like what he went through as a Green Beret. He was tortured. He had to like, I don't know. You don't get a whole bunch of his backstory, but you can tell it was traumatic. Totally. Like, I think that's one of the things about the Rambo movies I like is they are action movies, but it's also like the impact of war on human beings. And this movie, like, especially, like, it totally is diving into PTSD and how you how do you handle life when you've been in those extreme situations and then come back and then everything's normal, quote unquote normal. So I was excited for you to see this one because of that. I figured you had the assumptions you had about it and seeing the actual movie and what it was like. So, well, the other thing about, back to what you were saying about like the trauma of war, all of his group of men that he worked with in the war, what is it called? Your squad? Oh, his unit. Probably, okay. Squad. Platoon, I don't know. Depends. I don't know the words. There's differences, but yeah. All of his like squad were they all died from Agent Orange. Or not all of them died from Agent Orange, but one of them did at least. Yeah. And so he was kind of, that was what he first learned about in the beginning. And I thought in the beginning, like he went from finding out that his friend, the last remaining of his squad, died, to walking into the town and getting like harassed by the police officer. And I just thought, and he's still trying to just deal with the fact that his friend is gone. Like he really had this haunted, grieving look in his eyes. It was really compelling. Yeah, because he totally had pretty much nothing else. Like that was kind of like his last straw, last friend in the world kind of a thing. He was trying to reach out to the colonel who worked with them, but he wasn't kind of returning his calls kind of a thing. And he was going to find this friend and no longer there. And then all of a sudden the cop starts pushing him.
This movie too, like, I think it does a really good job encapsulating like just the tone. Obviously, I wasn't alive in the 70s, but everything I've read and seen is like such contention around the war and just no fault of Rambo's at all. Like, and yet he's getting all these preconceived notions pushed on him, and people are treating him this way because of it, and having to deal with all the trauma that he'd gone through, and just having like zero sympathy from society. You know. Yeah.
And it's such a contrast from today, where I feel like soldiers are really respected, and members of the armed forces, they're asked to stand up at baseball games, and like they're given they're like given a lot of respect and like authority, and so it was really different. I didn't know it was like that back in the 70s, that soldiers coming back from Vietnam were treated that way.
Yeah,
it was just shocking to see a vet treated that way.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, I just realized why you picked this movie, because it's Memorial Day on
That's
Monday.
Exactly why I picked it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let the light shine. Yep. I figured one out.
Oh, you got it. Wow. Before I could get to it. Good job. Look at you. So impressed.
So the sheriff was played by Brian Dennehy.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He was amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
His face is so expressive, and his eyebrows are just amazing. Like the way that they communicate.
Yeah.
And he was really, it's a hard role to play, because he was just like, it was kind of like the blind hatred role. Like, and so like that kind of character can become kind of just like flat and static and not be really interesting. But because he was so expressive, and there was a part where he was a little bit not remorseful, but he kind of leveled.
The scene in the bar where we talked to the colonel. Yeah,
he kind of leveled with the colonel and was at least questioning what he was doing. So he was kind of, that questioning, I think, made him more a deeper character.
And then it immediately went away once they realized. That was when they thought John Rambo was dead. But then we're like, he's not dead. Wait a minute. Forget that.
I'm going back to blind hatred.
He is just straight up us versus them. You are an us. I am in the them town. And, you are them and I am us. We're in the us town.
Yeah. But man, he was really good.
How did you like... I want to get at how you kind of felt about the film in general. Like...
At the end, like towards the end, it kind of gets a little bit unbelievable. In
what way?
In Rambo's, like, I don't know. He could have just kind of gone away, but then he came back to the town. I don't know. And his like sharpening sticks in the woods, and like in real life, like what was he thinking? Was this just like the only thing he knew how to do? I know that's kind of how they portrayed it.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit like, I don't know, I lost a little bit for me there.
I think about it like it's like he's a trained weapon, like you are trained. It's like if you know martial arts and someone swings at you, you immediately like block it. Your body just has these muscle reactions to it, And he was trained to such a level and damaged just from the what he'd been tortured and all this other stuff. So he had all this PTSD. It's like, I think it was like that. It was like a mix of like psychological break kind of a thing. And once he was there, he went into program mode of like, he's literally trained to like endure anything and destroy the enemy. Like that's his training. So it's just, he just kind of like went into that program mode once he kind of snapped. That's what I think.
I kind of want some of that training, because I really like camping, and a lot of his skills are super useful. Like
totally.
When he was in the mine and he kind of made his own torch by like tearing up that fabric that he had. It was just like canvas. Yeah. Earlier, the canvas came from a truck. Yeah. That he just kind of like rummaged through on the run, because he was shirtless in the Oregon cold,
Yeah, because they'd used a fire hose to shower him down, and they were starting to beat him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he used like that canvas as a cloak for a little bit. And then later in the mine, he used it to make a torch with like some kerosene out of a barrel. That was really cool. Plus the
first off, the canvas, like They actually just legit found that. It was just a rotting canvas they found. It wasn't a prop they made. They just found it and used it.
That was perfect, though, because it
Yeah.
kind of gave him, like, camouflage.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy.
Or Canva-flage.
Camouflage.
Yeah. Apparently Sylvester Stallone still has it. Like, he kept it after the filming of the movie. Apparently.
No.
I'm not joking.
What is he? Does he use it when he goes, he's painting the kitchen, so he puts it on the floor?
It's like movie memorabilia, you know?
Okay.
Like, they have all those Planet Hollywoods where there's all the different props and stuff. So a lot of times actors keep stuff from the set and everything.
Yeah, it's just, that's funny.
I know. What were you going to say, though? Sorry.
Oh, back to camping and me wanting green beret skills.
Yes.
Yeah, killing the hog. Like, there was like a warthog in the forest.
Sure was, yeah.
That he killed, and then he butchered, and then he built a fire, and he cooked a big haunch of it over the fire.
Yeah.
It looked so good.
It did look good. That's true.
I know. It's like, man, I want to know how to do that.
Well, is this your way of telling me you're going to enlist? I mean, what's happening?
I'm thinking about it.
You're thinking about it? Okay. Are you glad you saw this movie?
I am glad I saw this movie.
Booyah! Yes!
Okay, for one, now I'm finally going to understand, like, Rambo references.
Yeah, totally.
Which I feel like people have been using for a long time, especially some of your friends.
Yeah.
And for two, I'm happy when my wrong preconceived notion, when I learn what the real thing is, and it's often like better than what I was expecting, I'm happy when that happens. It makes me feel like a good person.
Makes me feel happy when I can provide that for you. So
elevated.
It's a win-win all over the place.
My big question is, how many of these did they make? Because while
Wouldn't
I was
you
watching
like
it,
to know?
Stop! Just tell me.
You want to know how many?
Yeah.
There's more than 2 and less than 50.
Wow. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, did Hollywood have to make another one? Because on its own...
Oh, it's great as a standalone.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. You may find out. Who knows?
Next Memorial Day?
Maybe. That could be a Memorial Day tradition every year. So what was your favorite part of the movie?
I loved that he broke out of jail. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That was really impressive.
I liked like you said earlier, the interspersing of the PTSD scenes in Vietnam with like the actions they were doing that were triggering him. That was really cool.
Yeah, that reveal was really good. I was like, no, don't do it. He's gonna do it. He's like on the face of a cliff.
Yeah.
Holding on, kind of, rock climbing. And there's a helicopter. This cop is shooting at him.
That guy was crazy.
That guy was crazy. And then there's nowhere to go, so he just jumps and aims for a tree. And that was insane. And that led to him getting hurt, actually. But he survived it. That was crazy. But memorable.
That was wild. Yeah.
I really loved it.
Totally.
As soon as I saw the tree, I was like, oh no, he is. He's doing it.
He's going for it. And of course, there's the obligatory, like, stitching himself up and all that. And yeah.
I never watched
I
those
know you
scenes.
don't. I know you
can't.
don't. Maybe we should keep track of those for you. How many times did Melissa have to look away in a movie? My favorite part of the movie was probably like the first 5 minutes. Like the establishing shots they do. I love it when a movie does the dichotomy. Like they will show, it's like a super peaceful and idyllic. He's like walking in this beautiful countryside and the scenery is amazing.
Mountains and like beautiful lakes right in front of the mountain.
I love that. I love when you, especially, it's great when you don't know where a movie's going to go and then it flips. But if you know, then it's just, you appreciate it more because you know it's coming. And yeah.
That's also nice because I think they were using like helicopters to do it. It wasn't drone footage. So for some reason, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like the helicopter aerial footage feels somehow more real than drone aerial footage. And I think it's because there's a little bit of movement in the way that it swoops. I don't know. Or maybe it's just because I know it's a helicopter and it's from that time. But it's really, I like that.
I think a lot of what you're saying too could be, and there's conversations on it, is the difference between film and digital. Film feels like a living, breathing thing. It's a chemical. It's awesome. Listen, just Google Steven Spielberg film, like watching film or using film, and he like has these great talks about how it's a chemical process, and it's like a magic that happens. Versus digital is just all right. What you see is what you get. Boom, it's there. There's no the color fluctuations aren't as much, and film when it's actually being run, it can move like a little, and when it's actually on the reel, it can, and it just has this kind of like energy to it. Same when it's recording too, because it's a physical thing that's moving. Anyway, that could be part of it too. Like in the helicopter, they were using different cameras, using film versus the drones. I know what you're saying though. A lot of times they can feel more robotic, less fluid. I think fluid's like the feel. Even a human flying a helicopter, it's still like they have a feel for it that they want to be comfortable with. And
you're making like a motion with your hands, like kind of like S's in the air, like you're drawing an S in the air, like swooping from side to side. I love that.
I'm a hand talker. I can't help it.
All the scenery in this movie was really pretty though, because
totally
they were in the woods in Oregon, and there was a waterfall and a river with tons of rocks. Yeah. What?
I had a flashback when I was watching this movie to watching Predator, because the scenes where he's making the stick traps and stuff, like they have the scene in Predator with that too. So I had flashes back to other movies while watching this.
Oh, it has very much has a Predator feel, definitely. Totally. Except he's just not hunting an alien.
Yeah, that'd be a great movie. It would be the guy from Predator, Schwarzenegger versus Rambo. That'd be a really good matchup. I think Rambo would win though.
I'd like to see Rambo versus Predator.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Hey, maybe we could write a script and get it made. There's a couple quotes in this movie that are just amazing. One of them is the colonel who shows up out of nowhere in his tightly pressed uniform and his beautifully impeccable trench coat.
Slick.
Yes. And he says to the sheriff, who he tries to dissuade them from going after Rambo.
Yeah.
And he said, well, if you're going to go after him, there's just one thing that you better remember. And he's like, what is it? A good supply of body bags. I just love that line.
That's a good one. And
then Brian Dennehy, when he gets upset about Rambo persisting to keep bucking them and not just turn himself in, he says, all heck breaks loose when people start effing with the police. It's crazy.
You've quoted that recently.
I have. Yeah, that's true. That was the radio edit too, by the way. He doesn't say those words. He doesn't say, oh, shucks.
You're right. He doesn't.
He doesn't. So how would you rate this one in your special Mel ratings?
I think this one is like when you want that 70s feel.
Ooh.
Because it did. Mm-hmm. It was really good at kind of making you feel like you were looking at watching the 70s. And
which is always weird because it's the 80s. But yeah, it's the lag. It's 82. So it's like everybody still just came fresh from the 70s and it still feels like it.
It did, yeah. So that's, when you're feeling like that. There was, I can't say it's as fun as Predator because it's pretty, there's a lot of seriousness to it. So it's not like hey, let's have a fun
I would call
alien movie night.
This movie's like a drama. This is a drama, action drama.
Yeah.
Was there any part of the movie that you were like, was there a worse part of the movie for you?
Besides the stitching up of himself.
Oh yeah, you did say that. That's right. Sorry. That was.
Let's see. Yeah, I think kind of towards the end, it's like, how is this going to go down? Why does he keep doing this? Basically,
yeah.
Just get out of town or turn yourself in. But
he really wanted to take that guy out.
Yeah,
that one guy.
Yeah.
You don't push John Rambo. I think that's why. I think that's the message of this film too. By the way, don't push John Rambo.
Watching it again, how long has it been since you've seen it?
Probably 20 years, I would guess.
Okay. Anything stand out to you this time that's different or is set differently with you?
I remember it being a drama from when I saw it the first time, but my memory had faded on a lot of it, and I've seen other Rambo films, so it also kind of they get swept together,
Oh, yeah.
I think I've seen Rambo 2 more than this one. Which, yeah, there's a Rambo 2. that's confirmed. But I think a lot of what we said, it feels like a very 70s movie. That was more apparent to me as a kid, as a younger man. I didn't realize, it didn't feel as palpable to me. It was also like I think when I was younger watching this, I was like, get rid of this stuff. I just want the action kind of a vibe, you know? And so the first part of the movie like resonated with me a lot more than it did when I was younger, because I just wanted the action and all that stuff. And yeah, really trying to put yourself in the shoes of the person and what they were going through.
Yeah.
I'm more empathetic now at my age than I was when I was younger. So
it was funny in the movie. A lot of the cops were like, "I'm not doing that. I'm not going after him," because they were seeing everyone falling and going down. And even though Brian Dennehy as the sheriff was extreme, there was still another cop who was even more extreme. Yeah, and he's the one who was in the helicopter and he fell out.
That was his
died early.
Yeah, it was his friend, and he just kind of got like locked into having to, defend his friend, because that guy got killed as an accident because he was trying to kill Rambo. Mm-hmm. And then Denny was kind of locked in, like, you killed my best friend, so sorry, I got to go after you. Yeah. David Caruso, you mentioned the other cops. Young David Caruso in this movie.
Right. That was hard to wrap my head around. I kept looking at him, even though you told me. Yeah. It was just kind of a mind trick. And
I didn't realize how much Rambo looks like one of my cousins.
Yeah, that was also
blew
funny.
My mind. It was like seeing one of my cousins, and I didn't realize it because I hadn't seen my cousin as a grown-up before. I saw this movie last time. I saw this movie. He wasn't grown up, and when I saw it, it was just really trippy to see my cousin doing all this stuff. It was wild.
That was really weird.
I
don't think I've ever seen Stallone so young. Like, I don't think I've seen him in a movie where he was this young. Was he acting in other stuff before? Was this his big breakout film? Or?
No, this was not his big breakout film. No.
Okay.
You may or may not see those in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's more to Stallone than I knew.
Stallone has done a lot of stuff. I think you would be surprised by some of the stuff he's done.
Okay.
Some of it you absolutely won't be surprised by, but some of it you will. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get there. Don't worry. Do you think this one holds up well?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's there's no special effects. There's nothing to date it, and it's meant to be in the 70s. For the
war, but yeah.
No, but it's meant to be at that time.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's not meant to feel it's happening today. I don't think. So yeah, there's nothing to date it. So it definitely holds up well.
I said what I thought my message of the film was. What do you think the message of the film was? Mine was, don't mess with John Rambo.
I mean, I think it's the deeper implication of what war does to a person, or any trauma, really. Yeah. But how it can affect even like the simplest thing of wanting to go into a town and find a restaurant, and your interactions with people. So it gives you a lot to think about. Yeah.
Which, when you think of talking about a Rambo movie, you're like, this is going to be a jokey, fun conversation. But it's not, because it's a serious movie.
I'm totally surprised by this development.
I know. If you were one of the cops in this movie, how would you have responded?
Yeah. I would have... If I was the cop that came a little bit later and I saw everything that had already happened, I would have been like, no, I'm out of here.
Peace out.
Because I think like the sheriff, he lost his objectability, like his ability to be objective and his sanity. Like he kind of went a little crazy there. Yeah, and I'm not gonna follow that. Like, I'm not going to take orders from that person who's lost their mind.
Sure.
So yeah, I would have been like, no.
What about, I'm only gonna ask this because you said if I came later. What if you were the original 3 cops that brought him in?
Oh yeah. Oh, in the office?
Yeah.
Ooh. Also, I feel like I would have been more like David Caruso's character because he was like, you're looking at a person. I don't know how people can like be with a person but not see what their behavior is saying. So the other two cops,
Mm-hmm.
they were just totally had their blinders on, and they just wanted to get their job done, and they're kind of had fun, like pushing him around.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could see that was kind of enjoyable for them.
Yeah,
so,
they were sadistic. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would have been more like David Caruso, like, come on, guys, can't you see he's
Mm-hmm.
upset, or like there's something going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
What would you have done?
I would have been the guy with the dogs. No, I mean, this is a thing too about, if you were in the early 80s and you had been in that culture at that time, right? Your reactions and behavior. I think David Caruso's like behavior is about as strong as the culture of the time would be, like calling out the poor behavior,
Mm-hmm.
which speaks to the times a lot, I think.
Yeah.
By today's standards, you're like, I would walk out of there and I would not deal with that, and I would report them and all these other things. And it was just different back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, if I'm being honest, I would probably be like the David Caruso character, but I would want to be like nowadays, where you would try to stop it and do all these other things. But
yeah,
I mean, who knows? It's hard to comprehend that unless you're in the situation,
I always think it's so cool when like they have these like tents that they set up.
Oh yeah, when they
and
have
like
the HQs.
instant offices
Yes,
in
yes.
the woods. Like
Yeah.
they're so cool.
Yeah, you get the National Guard in there and everybody's ready. Oh, the National Guard too were hilarious in this movie. They were like the weekend warriors, and they're like, all right, we're going to go down to the 5, and I got to go back to the truck shop after this. So
yeah.
I'm glad we watched this one. Around Memorial Day, I have a lot of family members. My brother's active in the military right now, and I have a lot of grandfathers, uncles, etc., who've served in wars throughout the years. So I like to kind of center my mind around that stuff around this time of year. Yeah, I feel like this movie I don't know. Anything that helps me get in that frame of mind, in that introspection, where I can just try and think about that space and be appreciative, I like. So
Mm-hmm.
leveraging this movie in that way, I liked it. So
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. Till the next one.
Okay, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.